Ladies and gentlemen, Rusuji Reaction, and this is why the India-Bangladesh border was the most complex ever. Okay, I have no knowledge about this. This is the latest video from RealLifeLore. Yeah, I'm an Indian, so I should know some about this, but I'm pretty sure I won't know nothing about this. But still, it's gonna be a fun video. RealLifeLore is a great channel. I love reacting to this channel. I reacted quite a few videos from him. Check out the cards. There's a playlist I've created for it. RealLifeLore reaction, something like that. Check out the playlist too, like CGP Grey, That in a Nutshell, Internet Historian, Only Sarcastic Production. I upload lots of videos in 24 hours, so lots of videos don't get notification sent out. So people don't realize I uploaded a video. So you might have missed some videos, so check out those cards. And yeah. Let's watch this one.
This video is made possible by CuriosityStream and Nebula. Watch a full-length, exclusive companion video to this one in my Modern Conflict series next on Nebula, which you can access by signing up for the CuriosityStream Nebula bundle deal for just $15 a year at curiositystream.com/reallifelore. There's a lot of really bad, really awful border situations in the world that at first glance don't really seem to make any sense. Why does the European Union have cities and territories in Africa? Why does France share her longest border with Brazil? Why does Namibia have this stupid arm? I've made tons of videos about things like these in the past, but there's one extremely insane border situation that I haven't made a video on yet. And it's one that no matter how many glances you take at it, it still doesn't make any sense. This is the most complicated border that has ever existed in history. The India-Bangladesh border. Today, the border between
This is ridiculous. Look at that. If you want to continue in India, there's very slim area here that you have to travel to go to the other parts of India.
These countries is still pretty weird. But if you rewind the map back to just 6 years ago, it was a lot more weird. Let me just take you on a tour across this section of the border here, circa 2015. Just look at all of this utter chaos. This is the main border between India and Bangladesh, but there's a bunch of pieces of Bangladesh inside of India, and there's pieces of India inside of Bangladesh. And then there's pieces of India and Bangladesh inside of those pieces of India or Bangladesh inside of India or Bangladesh.
What?
These weird chunks of land on the wrong side of the border are called enclaves, and looking at this complicated situation doesn't really help with the definition very much, so let's look at it on a simpler level.
Okay, they're way too close to being enclaves like that. Why is the border drawn up like this? I mean, this is just stupid.
In its simplest form, an enclave is a piece of a country that's completely 100% separated from the main part of a country. So let's say you have country X over here, and then there's another part of country X right over here inside of country Y across their primary shared border. That is an enclave, and it's fairly simple to understand. However, in this situation between India and Bangladesh, there were 102 enclaves of Indian territory located inside of Bangladesh proper, and a further 71 Bangladeshi enclaves within India proper. That's pretty complicated enough, but that's really only the tip of the iceberg of this madness. Inside of an enclave can further exist what's called a counter or a second order enclave. In this scenario, imagine that country X has an enclave inside of country Y.
Yeah, it's not much of enclave inside enclave. It's like more like a donut enclave, right?
And then country Y has an enclave inside of that enclave. So if you start in the middle and walk in a straight line out, it would go country Y, then country X, and then country Y again. It almost looks like a bullseye, and as of 2021, only one example of a counter enclave continues existing in the world here at Nahwa, which is a United Arab Emirates village, which is completely surrounded by territory belonging to Oman, which itself is completely surrounded by the United Arab Emirates. Understanding one of these like this is fairly easy, but India and Bangladesh didn't have one. They had dozens.
You know what, whenever there is anything country related happens like this and it's just plain out stupid like this, like look at that, India, Bangladesh, and at the border there are enclaves, at the border, not deep inside the mainland, no, at the border, there are enclaves like that. There are enclaves inside the enclaves. What's the fucking point of all this? Borders are supposed to make things easier. Not like this. I mean, I get it, there's lots of political bureaucracy going on, but I mean, in the end, people just has to say, this is just stupid. Let's resolve this. I'm pretty sure they did. That's why he's saying this was how it was before 2015. But still, why was it like this to begin with? I mean, you know, British left a long time ago, like 70 years ago. So for the 65 years this was the case. This is just ridiculous. I mean, they're literally near the border and there are enclaves. I mean, just draw the border in a way that it reflects the people or something.
Inside of those 102 enclaves of Indian territory inside of Bangladesh were a further 21 Bangladeshi counter-enclaves. And inside of those 71 Bangladeshi enclaves inside of India were a further 3 Indian counter-enclaves. And then, to make matters even more complicated, there was this nonsense. What you're currently looking at is a small patch of farmland that belonged to India, which was located fully within a village that belonged to Bangladesh, that was further located fully within a village that belonged to India, which was further located inside of the Bangladeshi mainland. Not to mention all of these other little enclaves surrounding it.
Which was all part of Moon. This is just stupid. I'm not gonna lie, this is just pissing me off. What the fuck? First of all, how I don't know about this is weird. I mean, I should know about this apparently, but I don't. And this enclave inside enclaves inside enclaves, what's the point of all this? And I'm pretty sure this causes lots of issues, technical issues for all these people. I mean, in general, people just don't care. People just probably just, do their thing, whatever. I mean, they don't see like, oh, look at them crossing the border. I'm pretty sure they don't go that hard. But still, this should cause some kind of an issues. This is just ridiculous.
Started here and walked in a straight line, you'd begin in India, then Bangladesh, then India, then Bangladesh, then India, then Bangladesh, then India, then Bangladesh, then India, and finally Bangladesh. And this whole line is only a few hundred meters long. Anyway, this nonsense.
Yeah, you get to put in jail for 30 years for violating so many visa borders.
Was the world's only third-order enclave, the India inside of Bangladesh, inside of India, inside of Bangladesh. And after conducting a joint survey in 2011, India and Bangladesh discovered that over 51,000 people were living across all of these confusing enclaves. And life for nearly all of them there was pretty weird and challenging. The smaller enclaves separated from their national mainland had little to no access to their homeland's logistics, supplies, or emergency services, and neither side was particularly willing to assist. So then, why wouldn't these 51,000 people just walk out of their enclaves in order to get these services?
Wait a minute, there was an instant, right? Like somebody called emergency services. The guy who came was from another country because the house was literally an enclave or something of Bangladesh or something like that. So they were literally there but couldn't go inside the house because it wasn't the same country, but they were literally there. And at this point, I just think like that was just stupidity. I mean, I don't care which country you are. I think your, basically your oath to protect humans should come first before anything else, regardless of which country you're from. So if there is some, basically bullshit political bureaucracy stopping you, there is a literally house there, and the house is the enclave of another country. I can't go in. Fuck that. Just go in and save the person, man. I think the person died because they couldn't go in because of all this detail. But I think that was just stupid. The health things should come first before all this.
Well, mostly because they couldn't. If somebody wanted to leave their enclave, they would have had to have gotten a visa.
I mean, there are people from developed countries like U.S., U.K., whatever, literally goes to Africa and lots of, really poor countries and just help them medically or whatever. I mean, they are not from that country, but they're still helping out. So, even if you're not from the same country, you're there, just help the guy out. Oh, it's Bangladesh enclave, I can't go in. What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
Visa first, which would have required a visit to their embassy, which were all, unfortunately, in their country's mainland, which means they couldn't visit to apply for a visa unless they had a visa, which they didn't have. And
yeah, there's another whole bullshit right there. First of all, if you know there are so many enclaves like that, and it's a real issue that people face, I mean, I think the two countries, India and Bangladesh, should come with some kind of treaty that neglects the need for a visa or something, like you can just cross the border like how it is in European Union or something like that. I mean, you don't need, basic visa or something. I'm pretty sure US and Canada, you don't need a visa. You can just walk in. So maybe they could have come up with something like that, like this is way too complicated, too many enclaves, and this cannot work. Let's just agree with some terms where we don't need visa so people can just walk around. You need visa and they are literally trapped. What the fuck?
And that, my friends, is some big brain bureaucracy.
Seriously.
So that was pretty much where the situation stood as recently as 2015. But how did this whole mess even begin in the first place? Local legend has it that centuries ago, hundreds of enclaves were put up as stakes in card games and chess matches between two local kings, and the modern nations which exist today simply evolved around their wins and losses. However, there isn't any historical evidence that provides any kind of proof for that. So, the most likely origin story was instead a peace treaty signed between the Mughal Empire and the Kingdom of Coach Bihar in 1713. Coach Bihar lost the war and agreed to cede territory to the Mughals, but evidently, they never really consulted a map, or even formalized an actual border, so the question of what land belonged to whom remained vague. And then, as with every dumb border situation that exists in the world today, the British got involved. When the British ruled India, the former borders between different kingdoms
The way he said it, the British got involved. Oh no.
didn't really matter as much. But then, all of a sudden in 1947, after centuries of rule, the British finally decided to give India independence. But they also decided to partition it between the state of India and the state of Pakistan. And they gave the job of drawing the border between them to this guy, a British man who had never been to India before and who was only given 5 weeks to come up with something. What he came up with was this, which had Pakistan in 2 different places separated by hundreds of miles by India. The eastern half of Pakistan's border was drawn here right along the vague old boundary between the Mughals and Coach Bihar that included all of the enclaves, which after centuries of not mattering, all of a sudden mattered a lot. Thousands of Indians and East Pakistanis were all of a sudden trapped within their enclaves on different sides of the border. And as relations between India and Pakistan quickly deteriorated, nobody really cared to solve it. But then, finally, in the 1970s, East Pakistan became the independent state of Bangladesh, and new talks to fix up their border with India emerged. In 1974, the Indian and Bangladeshi governments signed a treaty that would exchange their enclaves with one another and generally tidy up their border. And while Bangladesh immediately ratified it, India didn't for one reason. Remember that India had 102 enclaves inside of Bangladesh, while Bangladesh had only 71 enclaves inside of India. If they just swapped these enclaves, it meant that India would be a net loser of roughly 40 square kilometers of land to Bangladesh.
40 square kilometers, that's way too much. Of course, India said no to that. 40 square kilometers, are you kidding me? That's like nothing. Why would you care for that? I don't understand this.
And to many Indian nationalists, that wasn't ideal. Keep in mind that India has ongoing major land disputes with both Pakistan and China over in other places, and them giving up 40 square kilometers of land to Bangladesh might have been seen to them as a weakness. And
I understand now. So it wasn't about that 40 square kilometers. No. It's like it would send out the message like India's okay with agreeing with less land. So that would give the wrong idea to Pakistan and China, which would basically, start to be aggressor and try to take some land, thinking India will eventually settle for less land or something like that. They can't put out that message. Yeah, okay, I understand that.
So, India continued refusing to ratify the Enclave Exchange Treaty for 41 years after signing it, all the way until 2015, when circumstances within the Indian government finally coalesced to make it possible. At midnight on the 31st of July, 2015,
BJP was in power and they were really majority. Just one party had so much majority, so opposition, yeah, basically if they want to do something, they can now without fearing opposition.
the enclaves were finally officially exchanged at the snap of a finger, and the new Indian-Bangladeshi border was fully demarcated roughly 1 year later in 2016. The over 51,000 residents who lived within them were each given the choice of either Indian or Bangladeshi citizenship, and while most simply chose to remain in place at their homes and adopt the citizenship of whatever new country they found themselves in, a few didn't. Roughly 1,000 people who once lived within the Indian enclaves across the border in Bangladesh chose to become Indian citizens after the enclave transfers, and they had to be resettled back over to the Indian mainland. And while a lot cleaner looking than before, the new borders that exist today are still pretty wacky. They zig and zag all over the place and meander into weird border peninsulas like here, or here, or here, or here, or here, or really just everywhere. But that's not all. If you look over here, you'll see that there's still one enclave that continues existing, a piece of Bangladesh inside of India, which just happens to be the biggest single enclave that existed prior to the exchange treaty. 17,000 Bangladeshi citizens were living here trapped surrounded by India, separated from the Bangladeshi mainland by only 200 meters at the narrowest point here.
200
and
meters.
So, to help out, India decided to lease this tiny strip of land to Bangladesh in order to enable access between the enclave and the mainland, which sort of makes
Yeah,
it
they can't just give away land. Again, they would send out the bad message, so they're leasing. But that just means they just give that to Bangladesh. I mean, it's just technicalities there. That would make more sense. Otherwise, the visa bullshit would trap them.
not an enclave, at least in practice. But if you were Bangladeshi and living here and wanted to go visit a friend over here, which is a distance of only 4 kilometers as the crow flies, you would have to spend over 2 hours driving along this super convoluted route in order to remain inside of Bangladeshi territory.
Or just scream from one other side of the river.
The entire way there. For a lot of people, the new cleaner borders are still kind of a
communicate by screaming across the river, I guess. It's 4 kilometers, they can still hear you. Man, this is so stupid. There's still enclaves there, man. I mean, you could have come up with something, I guess, I don't know, India could have give away lots of enclaves, but also taken this place or some kind of deal like that, so this place becomes more widened, because this small patch here connects other part of India with this one, this small patch here. That's just ridiculous. India was thinking of building major highway here, so if there's need to transport military vehicles or whatever, they can with ease.
Yes, but they're still much, much better than they used to be. And what's even more amazing is that even though it took...
I mean, if there is a massive military base here somewhere and suddenly China decides to attack this area, if they want to transport, now they have to go through all type of this area. This is just weird.
decades to accomplish, India and Bangladesh solved their border issues through diplomacy and not through violence. But that doesn't always happen so cleanly between countries with strange border disputes. Last year, Armenia and Azerbaijan went to war over their own unresolved border enclaves and exclaves that primarily focused on this landlocked region in the middle of Azerbaijan proper called Nagorno-Karabakh, which both Armenia and Azerbaijan sort of claim. The war was incredibly geopolitically complex, with multiple other countries intervening, lasted for 6 weeks, saw the extensive use of drones.
Yeah, whenever there's war nowadays, people always say it's very geopolitically complex. Yeah, okay, it's pretty sure that, the idea is simple, and it's all just stupid bullshit.
Warfare and emerging military technologies that ultimately resulted in a decisive victory for Azerbaijan. It's a fascinating subject that I'm sure you would probably want to watch, but the video just wouldn't ever work on YouTube. YouTube's terms of service specifically prohibits videos like this one about modern wars and conflicts from being monetizable, which means that the YouTube algorithm...
Oh god, that is so true. That is so true. I mean, armchair historian gets screwed lots of time like this. I started to react to his videos, I guess, months ago. I guess first video I reacted was about Iraq or Afghanistan, I don't know. And it got, his video got demonetized. Even my reaction got that yellow flag or something like, this doesn't have suitable content or whatever. But yeah, that's just ridiculous, man. I mean, you can't talk about the war that is going on today, what history is apparently no thing. I mean... sometimes I don't understand the terms and conditions that's being used, like it's history. I mean, you can't sow violence, obviously, but talking about history is bad now.
Intentionally never promote it to most of you who would be interested. So, instead of uploading it to YouTube, I decided to upload my long Armenia-Azerbaijan war video to Nebula instead, in my new exclusive series there called Modern Conflicts. As you've probably heard by now, Nebula is home to tons of exclusive ad-free content.
Yeah, people, go to description. There's an original video link there. From there, go click on the link of Nebula and whatever, support this channel. Yeah, I didn't know about the India-Bangladesh enclave situation like that. Obviously, after 2015, BJP came into power. BJP came into power and it was with a real majority. So I guess they could do lots of things that they could, people couldn't before, and without fearing opposition. So obviously they resolved this issue, but this issue was there for extremely long time. That is just ridiculous. People was literally trapped in their enclaves. They needed visa. I mean, when you see a situation like this, your common sense would tell you, surely they don't need visa. I mean, they would have come with some kind of understanding that they wouldn't need visa. No, they need visa. That's just ridiculous. Alright, people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the reaction I did. There's a link in the description. Check out the cast of the playlist like Real Life Lore, CGP Grey, Internet Historian, Holy Sarcastic Production, whatever. And yeah, I'll see you next time.